All right, welcome everybody. Come on in to Compass Coffee Talks, latest episode. We're very excited by this month's guest joining us. Gonna let people fill in the room a little bit. I see folks coming in the door. Thank you very much for coming on in. All right, we're going to give it another moment and we will get started with I think we're at our 27th episode of Compass Coffee Talk. Very grateful at the reception to our podcast, helping to educate entrepreneurs in the natural and organic products industry. We're big fans of regenerative agriculture as well, and how food and agriculture and the way we produce our food can really contribute to positive change in our communities, our businesses, the economy, and the planet. I'd like to introduce my co-host, Bill Capsalis, there with his Stop Hate sign. I love that sign, Bill. My name's Stephen Hoffman. I'm with Compass Natural. We are the host company here. And we're very, very honored in this month's episode to welcome Emerald Jane Hunter, who once we say her name once, Emerald Jane, we were allowed to call her by her nickname, EJ. So thank you very much for that, EJ. Emerald Jane is the founder and the ringleader of the myWHY agency based out of Chicago, recently named one of the top PR firms in the city of Chicago. She's our hero and role model as well as a small PR agency out of Boulder. We absolutely admire and study and learn from her work. And she originally from the Republic of Ghana in Africa, but moved to the US at the age of 19, went to college and then spent much of your years in America in the Midwest and also now in the Windy City. So I'm curious what you see in differences and similarities of cultures down the road. But before we get to that, Emerald Jane started out, I believe, in television, ran her own production company. If you look at her screen, you will see 4 Emmy Awards stacked all around her for creating diversity in programming in Chicago, in television programming. She's worked with everyone from Boys to Men to Barry Manilow to Martha Stewart to Mike Tyson to Sting. I believe you mentioned Sting was one of the favorite people you've worked with. Yes. But also, she's focused her attention and her team has focused her attention on the natural channel. So she brings her expertise in diversity, equity, inclusion, brand marketing and strategies, communications and storytelling at the highest level to our channel, the Natural Channel. And we're just so excited to welcome you, Emerald Jane, to Compass Coffee Talk.
Thank you. Great introduction, and thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks. And before we get started, I'm just going to thank our sponsors that make Compass Coffee Talk happen. And that's Genius Food, which is a probiotic gut-loving bread you can find in natural food stores around the country. We also are sponsored by the Independent Natural Food Retail Association. So support your independent natural food retailers out there. We're very honored by that association. Also by Presence Marketing, the largest independent natural foods brokerage in the country. And then among the Naturally Network, which is an excellent organization for entrepreneurs to connect around the country. We are sponsored by Naturally Boulder and Naturally San Diego. And actually, we're really excited. Next month's program, we're going to feature the directors of the Naturally Network from all the individual cities and talk about their initiatives and activities they're doing, including Naturally Chicago, where EJ is from. So with all that, thank you to our sponsors, thank you to our host, and thank you to all of you for tuning in to today's program. I would like to start, EJ, with, again, you come from outside of America, and I believe my experience, I served in the Peace Corps, and I served in Honduras, where I was the only gringo in the town of of wonderful, beautiful people in a small town in Honduras. So my horizons, once they got expanded, they didn't contract after that. And so you grew up in Africa, and now you're also like at the top of marketing and having to stay in touch with culture in the United States, for all this brand building. What do you see as the similarities and differences with people and business, from these two vast continents?
Right. Well, I think you said something that was really poignant there. And at the root of it, we're all human brothers and sisters, right? We're all foundationally the same, but just impacted by our surroundings, our upbringing, the cultures, ancestors, all of those things that are shaped based on different countries and different places. But at the root of it all, we all feel the same. We all need the same things. We all want similar things. And so in terms of similarity, that's that. Just in the human connection alone, we are all really the same, just shaped by our experiences. The differences for me, and it's interesting because I just got back from Ghana. Again, I was there in 3 weeks. I was there for 3 weeks. I just got back last week, which was great. I go to Ghana every year. It's my way of reconnecting and getting my foot back on the motherland soil, and it just really fuels or recharges me. But that alone tells me a lot. We're tied to things here in the US, which is not a bad thing. But back at home in Ghana and in a lot of third world countries, as we're noted to be, we're tied to experiences and people and community. And I wish that sometimes we could put more of experiences and people and community first before things. And I think that also drives how we work, what we're passionate about, and what we focus on. When you're focused on experiences and people and community, that becomes the center of your why. And that fuels what you do, how you do it, why you do it, who you do it with. Versus if you're tied to things, then it's about the end goal, which is acquire more things, which means more money, which is important because every country, every culture, everyone wants more money, everyone wants more things, but it's where it falls in that priority chart, right? And that really influences how we work and how we think. If you're only focused on the end goal, which is just things and money and all those tangible things, you tend to have less, you could, and I won't say this is, for everyone, but you could run the risk of losing heart and soul within whatever you do. So I won't say that it's necessarily a difference, but it's just a shift. It's a slower pace back at home. So when I went home, I took that mentality of quick, fast, need it now, and had to quickly adjust to, okay, it's a 1 o'clock meeting. It may not start till 1:15 or 1:30. And I will get there at 12:45 and everyone's like, well, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
But I can easily judge it and say, oh my God, what is wrong with you people? You're never on time. But at the end, we still meet, we still get the work done, but it's about the experiences. I sit and I go, let's talk business. And everyone goes, how are you? What did you do today? How have you spent your time? And I'm like, why are we wasting time talking? But essentially I had to adjust and say, ooh, it's different. It's new. We all have the same end goal, but we approach it differently.
Nice. Now you said the term why, and you use this phrase, finding your why. Can you talk about that a little bit? I'm just really curious about that. You've kind of latched onto it, EJ, and I love it. So
yeah, 6 years ago, that was not part of my conversation. And I just knew who I am and what I want to be when people talk about me. So I always thought about or use the analogy of when I die, what do I want to be remembered for? What do I want to have written on my tombstone? And none of it was about being skinny or or wealthy. All of it was about how I made people feel, how I put my heart into stuff, how I was authentic, kindness, but also helped people grow in their fields. And then I was on a plane in 2016. My father passed away in March 2016. So heading back to Ghana for his funeral, walked into a store at the airport and picked up this book, Start With Why by Simon Sinek. Started reading it and I didn't put it down. From when I got on the plane to when I landed, it's a 10-hour flight. between dozing off here and there, I didn't put the book down. And what this book did for me was it gave me the words for all the things I felt but couldn't communicate. I was very clear about what I want to do with my life. After 15 years in television, it's a cutthroat business. It's a hard climb. It's who can get over you to get to the top, right? And they're few and far between for that level of success. And I started my career when I also had kids. And so putting everything aside and moving to LA or New York wasn't an option. I wanted to raise my kids here in Chicago. But Simon Sinek put words into my mouth that spoke to my heart. And at the core of it, I said, if I had all the money in the world and I didn't need money to raise my kids and pay bills, because that's just where we live, what would I want to do for free? What would give me so much joy that I would do it nonstop, just passionately? And I don't even care if I make anything, but I just will be happy to see that my words and my work is impacting someone. And that was your why. So when you start with why, it's the center of everything. And then the what and the how all come together. And I know prior to this, we had a conversation about like new business and success and all of that. And I'm telling you, when you can figure out what your why is and stand in it and not get jaded by outside things, but stay standing in your why, everything comes together.
Nicely said.
And that book is Start with Why by Simon Sinek.
Yes.
If others, how would you take that experience and offer any advice to others out there that I think finding your why is the journey and also where you know you want to go. So how do others get on the path to find their why if they haven't?
Yeah, I think that the easiest practice is really take a pause and think through what fuels you every day. Why do you get up every day and do what you do? And if you think about it and the answer is, well, because I have no choice, I just have to do it. And that's not your why. What are you doing currently? What aspects of what you're doing give you joy as you're doing it? And that is, there's a level of intentionality that comes with. So let's say you're a small business owner, you have a startup, organic, natural brand. There's a reason, first of all, why you chose organic and natural, because it's not cheap. You could have gone the cheap route with all the junk in it. So already that's a start of responsibility to people. And if sustainability is part of it, then it's to planet. And then obviously profit, right? But if you're already in the natural organic space, you naturally have a why that says, I want to do something better, be better. Now, once you find that, take it to the next step. Looking at all the things that you still have to do as a business owner. There are going to be aspects where you're just like, I don't enjoy this. And this is where this is where I thrive. And this is what I enjoy doing all the time. And no matter how many times I fall down, that passion that's rooted in what it is that I'm trying to do or where it is I'm trying to get to gets me back up. That is your why. So it sounds easy and simple, but it took me 15 years and I quit working in television. It was intentional. I had to pause and say, I love telling stories using visual images. It's great. I loved the people I work with, but I was getting burnt out because I felt like I had hit the ceiling. And in the media industry, there weren't many people of color like me. So it was always either me or me and two other people. And I got exhausted constantly fighting to keep telling these diverse stories where it's like, I don't want to wait until Black History Month to tell stories of Black people. I want to tell stories of Black people all the time. But as you know from the media, it's like, nope, it's Black History Month. We go full throttle. Then we shift to Women's History Month. Then we go full throttle. Then we go to Pride Month, full throttle. And you're like, well, forget what happened in February.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I was part of that community. And it just didn't feel like what I wanted to do. So even founding my own production company, that's another thing, right? It was like, I'm going to tell the stories I want to tell, when I want to tell them, how I want to tell them.
Nice.
Now, another thing I thought was interesting, and I want to get into your diversity work in the Natural Channel as well. But I read something where you say, people were asking, how do you balance, work, family life? And you had mentioned something like, there is no balance. So how do you juggle it? How do you handle it?
Well, my children, my daughter's almost 16 and my son's 12. So it has shifted from when they were younger to where they are now, because literally I don't know what time it is now in Chicago, but I've seen them walk around the hallway, but whether they've eaten or showered,
Yeah.
it's not really my concern right now because it's summer, we're all home. It's different from when they're younger and you actually have to get the routine going. But now, sometimes teenagers sleep till noon. You're like, what is going on here? So I have evolved in juggling and looking for balance in some shape or form. My daughter for the last 2 years and now during the summer handles all the shipping for for products for my clients. So we're shipping products to media, shipping products to influencers. I trained her on the process when she was 12. And so she would help me at home in between school and whatnot. And then I do have I have a contractor that does it. But then during the summer, it's like, well, let's get right back in it. But it's great because she knows the FedEx system. She understands it. And I don't need to do anything other than go into the shipping form. We've got shipments and she gets it done and, we drop it off. So juggling for me now with family and the work is I can include my child within the work, for which she says she'll never be an entrepreneur, which we'll see. She's still young, but she sees how hard I work. She's like, I don't know if I ever want to run my own business, but I try to make time for what matters to me now. And that's actually the beauty of entrepreneurship. If you work for somebody, you've got to show up, you've got to be on the clock from 9 to 5, but I can own the business. I can schedule meetings. I try not to start full meetings until after 10 a.m. For client calls. That allows me to drop them off at school, get myself some breakfast. I do, a 2-hour walk from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. every morning, because that walk with my neighbor and our dogs clears my mind. And then I get home, get the kids to school. I come back, shower. I've got enough time to sit at my desk. I couldn't do that if I worked a 9 to 5. I'd be scrambling, right? Yeah. So that's how having autonomy and owning gives me that freedom to be able to plug it in. And I can end work at 3 or take calls while I'm in the car, while I'm driving or picking kids up and taking them to track and field and whatnot.
I have to say that I enjoy some of that of also being self-employed. There are trade-offs, but you get to more organically manage your time to get everything done. And it also sounds a bit like certain routines kind of help keep the momentum going. And then I also heard something, you've moved beyond just balancing to, I think you have a second generation in the family business, maybe starting to go there. And it's kids are gonna rebel a little bit, but they're gonna come back to those values and that experience that they have learned from.
She certainly enjoys earning some money.
Sure.
Now let's talk a little bit about your work in natural foods, because that's what drew my attention to your work out there. And you work with some major brands, Nature Care, Made Good. You're on the Jedi Council, right, for Informa, which is New Hope Network and supply side. So we've had Carlotta Mast and Ryan Pintado Bertner on our show discussing Jedi initiatives in the natural products channel. So I realize those are kind of two different things, the clients that you've worked with, but I'm curious what insights you've gained there. And then also, I know Bill and I are committed and big advocates of diversity. So where can we help? Where can others help? And what do you see happening in natural foods in that regard?
Good question. Yeah.
Well, great question. I mean, we certainly have a long way to go. And it's not just in the industry. We have a long way to go, period, in the world when it comes to that, right? Yeah. And I think one of the things I'm always concerned about, and I actually had a minute to think about it again when the first lady had to issue tweets apologizing for referencing breakfast tacos She just had a speech and I can't remember what state she was in, but it's a highly Hispanic populated place. And she made reference to breakfast tacos and people just got slammed and crazy. And it awoke in the sentiment that I've always felt. We as a people have to stop treating diversity or race related issues and being so super hypersensitive that it's going to do two things. It's either going to block people from wanting to even try because of the fear of being canceled, right? And that we should be concerned about that because everyone's afraid to say the wrong thing. Everyone's on pins and needles. We have to make room and space for others who want to learn and adjust and know better to do better, so we can have two-way conversations to educate and teach. That's how we're going to get to where we're going to get to. But it feels like there's this demand of you've got to just be DEI, authentic and aware and accountable. But it's like, well, if it's not been the foundation of anyone's business or anyone's background, how are you going to get there? If we on the other side can't open the door and make it warm and welcoming and friendly to say, okay, we're ready to teach and talk and hear, and then you're ready to learn, and then let's meet in the middle. But I feel like, God forbid, you as a white man say something well-meaning, well-intentioned, but use the wrong words. Oh my God, your business is canceled. Everything goes down the drain. It's like, we've got to find a healthy balance. So the world doesn't thrive that way right now. Unfortunately, social media loves to create that drama. And I think that there's just a lot of risk that we run because it would either force people to, it takes a lot to fight through fear. And I don't want to say it's fear-based, no, but everyone's so nervous to make a mistake. And the cost and the price you pay for making an honest mistake is so big that it could cause people to just say, you know what, I am so nervous about saying anything or doing anything. I'm just going to play it safe and not do anything at all.
It would kind of make the being perfect the enemy of the good. You know,
Right.
We expect everyone else to be perfect.
Right. And so I had to think about it. And I just drew onto the First Lady's words just because it just happened yesterday or so. I just said, well, but what is wrong if she was saying something referencing feeling welcomed in the land of this and this and that and breakfast tacos? Is breakfast tacos not of the culture? You know, because
it is for me.
Get it right. And I thought, why are we bashing her?
Yeah,
because had she said, you know, something lasagna or something whatever, then it would have been, well, what are you talking about? We're a Hispanic community. You're you can never win. So for me, it's important that we find a way, and what I want to be able to bring to the table and why I want to be at the table and why I want to be part of conversations and why I want to be able to support brands is that we need to put all of our barriers and boundaries down. We need to just bring it down, and we need to get to the room and say, we're allies of each other, but there are things I don't know. And there are things you can teach me, and there are things I can learn. And it goes both ways, right? I've never been a white woman. I'll never know what that's like. I would never know that there are pressures, you know, and a burden that, you know, you have to carry that may not necessarily be directly yours, right? And there's also that on the flip side from my end too. But if we start having conversations where it's like, say what you need to say, do what you need to say, ask all the questions, don't be afraid that I'm going to judge you, no judgment zone. Guess what? We're going to learn from each other, and we're going to actually know better to do better. So my hope is that I can bring a little bit of that within the work that we do. We work with a lot of brands that are diverse in different ways, but making sure that diversity, it doesn't just stop at race, because that's what I think we always gravitate to when you go diversity is always like, okay, look around the room. Is it diverse? Like, well, sexual orientation counts too, right? Are you a veteran or not? It counts too. Disability counts too. All of those things count too. And then gender. So we can look around the room and say, great, it may look racially diverse, but are there, you know, anyone from the transgender community, from the LGBTQ community, from, you know, women or men, whatever. It just spans a lot more than just race and culture.
That was like just amazing what you just took us through there, EJ. I'm just really curious, when you work with your clients, are they having you in the boardroom discussing this topic as it relates to your external communications for them? Like what's happening for you with your clients on this?
So that's one thing I really wish could happen, but it's a process, and maybe we'll get there one day, right? A lot of the clients come to us with a specific need.
Mhm.
And as we're asking questions and whatnot, we're discovering things. But
Right.
there isn't a lot of time because, as you know, people come to you and they've got 6 months or a year, or rarely do people want integrated marketing help a year down the road, and they're a year early in their planning process. Most come to you because something isn't working and we need a change and we need a fix. So you have a shorter time span to get there. But we've had the privilege of having a few clients where we've been able to work with them from messaging and positioning of their brand, which is what I actually truly love. And we've done a great job where we get some of these brands that are like, I want to talk about myself and, target, my audiences and tell them about me, but I'm not sure I'm communicating it clearly. We've done that at the foundation, and that has been amazing because we've been able to use that time to discover the business and then help shape what that messaging and positioning is right from the get-go. And that messaging then goes into their visual identity, that goes into the words on their website, that goes into all their marketing materials. And so we've been able to do that. We're working with a new client, Belfiore Herbal, a 70-year-old woman who's been a scientist for years, finally is launching her own organic natural skincare product. 70-year-old woman, and I love it. And they're growing an organic farm in San Francisco to just, grow the ingredients. But it's been great to be able to work with them on the messaging positioning. And it's an Indian, family, and really how to get that narrative out. And we're working with them on all of that before we even get to PR. But they're, and that is what I love. So if I could get a pick and a choice of, brands or clients to work with, I would love to come in at the foundation. But a lot of the established brands that come in, everyone recognizes that there's a need to evolve and not, I wouldn't say pivot, no, but there's a need to be more inclusive. There's a need to be more aware. So for me, I will never craft messaging or give you words that sound great if it's not part of who you are and the fabric of who you are as a brand. So that's one of the things we also advise, right? We say, great, here's where you want to get to. Let's start by diversifying your top management. I'm not an HR company, but I can say, okay, who's top management? Let's go through it. And I say, well, great. We can't tell the world that this is what you stand for when you have no women in top management, right? So let's change that. And then when you change it, we'll keep going. So but it's exciting because I can make recommendations that go beyond marketing, really expand to HR and internal business practices that then influence marketing.
Awesome.
A group like Informa can have an influence across the industry. Do you feel the JEDI Advisory Council, the Content Advisory Council, has had an impact? You're certainly talking with them about the storytelling and content that such a major, trade communications leader is putting out.
Yes. And this is my second year on the council, and we've made great inroads and forward movement in that sense. We've told some pretty great stories. A lot of it is being able to work with we're in the room with a lot of the editors, and we're also working to diversify even the writing team, right? So it goes beyond just the borders, but the writers who are the storytellers of the pieces as well. So yes, we've got, it's a journey. It took a long time to get here. We need to give ourselves this, same amount of time to flip it. So, but we've definitely made great strides, especially in the inclusion with the LGBTQ plus community as well, because there are a lot of products that are out there that could feel very exclusive of that community, right? How are you, if you're a brand, for example, Nature Care, 30-year-old brand, the current client, but we make sure that we're speaking to what if someone's transitioning, right? What does your packaging look like? Someone who's transitioning from, cis, female or to male or whatever that is, right? What if they're in the middle of that process? And there's a lot of things happening to the body. And how are you including them in the conversation? And these are things that you won't think of, any day, and a regular, a woman, a cisgendered person won't think of, but these are real stories that, and things people go through. How are you as a brand, now when you're marketing, you have to have awareness of what the global landscape looks like, right? And how are you communicating? What is on your packaging? You've got images of just a woman and it's, whatever it is, but now who a woman is more than just, I was born with these body parts, right? So there's a lot to really think of, and it's complex, and I don't even know it all, but I'm learning. And that's the beauty of it. So being part of the Jedi Council, we're very diverse in that sense. We've got diverse team members, and we're learning off of each other and then feeding information to guide content. Back to what I said in the beginning, we have to be compassionate, put the boundaries down, the walls down, learn from each other, then we can execute.
Well, EJ, we have Dr. Felicia Dawson has joined us. She's a Black woman medical doctor in the Atlanta area, went to Emory University. She's awesome. Would love for you guys to meet eventually. But she also says we all need to be more compassionate and patient with one another. And Felicia is an expert in cannabinoid medicine. Actually, I met her at an influencer conference in Atlanta, and that's where we kind of connected. But also she's, an expert in women's health. So happy to have her. How can people get in touch with you, by the way, if they wanted to?
Question, Steve.
Me. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've got a unique name. Yeah, me. Got a very unique name, Emerald Jane Hunter. If all else fails and you don't remember all the things I'm about to tell you, just Google me and something will pop up. I'm active on LinkedIn, so search for my name on LinkedIn. I'm also active on Instagram, but the agency, it's myWHY Agency, myWHY Agency. So follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn for agency work. For me, my personal Instagram is Emerald Jane Hunter, all one word. And I share a lot of my personal life as well on there. So you'll see me in 2 weeks, I'm heading to Sacramento. My son made it to nationals for Junior Olympics. So I'm heading there, and I'll be working while also screaming at the stands. But yeah, you can find me that way. Email emerald@myWHyagency.com.
Yeah, and I have a question for you. When's your book coming out? Do you have a book coming out?
No, I don't have a book coming out.
You should have a book.
One more thing to add on the list.
I feel the same way about that. I feel like we're at this cusp of society. There's parts of society and in all of us that want to hold on to tradition. But also we are absolutely, look at these photographs that are coming from the James Webb telescope, which I think give us some perspective on where we stand in the vast universe. And we are facing a complex future. Technology, society changes, people catching up with this freedom of fluid gender and diversity. There's a lot going on in society today. We're storytellers. So how do we help? I'd like to kind of start closing our conversation here. What advice do you have for businesses out there in terms of, presenting the best of tradition and facing future? I do believe we're in a really interesting spot here in society today.
Right. Well, I'm going to sound like a broken record. Be open to learning. What you once thought was the way, just start by saying, well, this is how I always used to do things, but I can't keep operating that way because the world is changing and I need to move along with that. If not, you're going to be left at the back of the train, right? Because the world is moving. It's not going to stop and pause and wait for you to catch up. So you're either going to keep moving as it moves and stay on trend. I don't think we'll ever really catch up, because I feel like each time you're close to catching up, something new comes up. but you've got to be open. You've got to be well read. You've got to be well informed. You can't just stay in your bubble, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you're running a business. It's so easy to just stay in your little bubble because you're running your business. You're just focused on your industry, focused on what you're doing, your day-to-day of running the business. You've got to pause, watch TV, read things, be curious, research. I'm still, encyclopedias. I don't know what's happening to encyclopedias now, but I remember loving being able to pick one up in my hand and look at it, right? It's like, do those exist anymore? But we've
Wikipedia today.
Right? And even that, you can't trust it. But we have to be open to the fact that we have to be perpetual learners. You have to. So don't stop, don't pause, don't get lazy about it. Be intentional, right? Not everything is going to be honest and true. Not everything is going to feel or sit right with you, but try to come from a place of empathy. It's not about how you feel, but it's like, well, if I were in that other person's shoes, how would I feel? If we can get to that point of empathy, of putting yourselves in that person's shoes, you might not be able to do it. It might be hard. It might not be easy, but try, make an effort. One of the things I want to mention for PR, for brands, and I know we're going to post this later, so for anyone listening later, affiliate marketing. I want to talk about that for 2 seconds and we can close that out, because that is changing the world of PR. And it has already changed a bit, the world of PR, but I would say for brands, when you're new, you're a startup, you're coming up, middle-sized brands, established brands, you've got to get on the affiliate marketing bandwagon. It stinks. It's a lot of work. No one understands it. It's confusing. You've got to embrace it. Why? Media and earned media has changed. We have landed clients on Forbes and Prevention and Shape and Parade and Martha Stewart, earned. But it took us a long time to get there, which is standard. But I can tell you, if you've got an affiliate link, all these outlets now want to make money. Everybody wants to make money. Pandemic hit, people had to pivot, people had to find ways, people were freaking out and back to being tied to things in America. It was less about, well, let's give free earned media to brands so we can help push the world forward, and switch to, let's make money and promote clients. If you've got a product that has an affiliate link, you have a better chance of getting featured on some of these large major outlets, because every time someone clicks on your product link from their website, they earn a commission on the sale.
The publications earn a commission on the sale. So that's the new thing. That's earned media the other way.
Earned media. So I've had clients where we've landed them on, a big outlet, Forbes, top 10, beauty products or whatever, and they were part of it, earned. And then you go back to that same link and you find that some products have been shifted out of it. Same story, but your client is no longer there. It's been swapped out with another beauty brand that had an affiliate link that became the priority. So I just wanted to say that for brands, while you're in that mix, it's complicated. We're figuring it out. It's one more thing to literally, you might have to hire someone else just to focus on your affiliate marketing, but it is a thing, and take it seriously, because then it supports some of your PR efforts, which we're still earning a lot of media for people, but that's just where the trend is leading. And I think if I can impart one thing, I would say, keep reading, keep watching, keep listening, be open, learn, and affiliate marketing.
Thank you. That was really key.
I learned a lot.
So we
learned a lot in
appreciate
this
that.
35 minutes. How about you, Steve?
I learned a lot. EJ, is there anything else you want to share with anyone out there that we haven't covered today? And I know we've only talked for a little bit. We could certainly chat over a bottle of wine or a cup of coffee. No problem, I'm sure.
2 bottles of wine.
There you go. Now we're talking.
Yeah, I think one thing I would say is just find your authentic self.
Mm-hmm.
Don't look at what brand A is doing to your left or right. Don't be intimidated by quick growth that one brand may be having compared to yours. Stay looking forward. Your race is in your lane. Look ahead. Once you start comparing you're going to deflate your energy. Be mindful of your energy. We're all energy. You soak in what you allow to soak in, and that's going to dampen your spirit. So you may actually be on a great trajectory, but some brand that you started with has more followers or has gotten more placements than you. And now you're like, well, what am I doing wrong? It's like, no, 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 no. So I would say that stay in your lane, stay focused. Don't let things shift you out of what your why is. Keep reminding yourself of why you're in business and why you're doing what you're doing, and ensure that at the end of the day, your legacy is going to be beyond just how much money you made. So while you're doing all of that, give back, community, people, right? And be proactive as much as you also have to be reactive.
Well,
I could go on
EJ,
for 2 hours.
it is such a pleasure. I know I'll speak for Bill and I. It's such a pleasure for us to get to know you, and also for you to share with our guests. Stephanie, I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce your last name correctly. Hoffy? Wonderful, impactful, inspiring conversation. Thank you, Emerald Jane Hunter, for your input and feedback.
Nice.
I think our audience said it very well. We're so honored to have you. Thank you so much. And really, I've enjoyed catching your style too. You get some great style going there. And folks, if you haven't seen all those Emmys, EJ knows what she's doing. So stay in touch. We're excited because next month in August, we have a good friend and colleague, Eric Schnell. He is the chair of Naturally New York. We have Jim Slama, who is the director of Naturally Chicago.
Yep.
Katrina Tolentino, she is the new national director of the Naturally Network, correct?
Correct.
And Bill is the executive director of Naturally Boulder, where all this Naturally Network got started from. I'm proud to also have served as former chair there. So we're really excited because we're not sure that anybody has provided such a focus on this incredible resource for entrepreneurship, linking veterans and mentors with emerging brands. So tune in on August 17 as we feature the Naturally Network. And we're also very excited on September 14, we have John Foraker, who works with Once Upon a Farm, the CEO of Once Upon a Farm. He's legendary in the natural products industry. He ran Annie's for many years and successfully also operated that under General Mills. John is one of our top entrepreneurs and CEOs in the industry, and we're very excited to bring him on in September. In October, stay tuned. We're hoping for a surprise guest. And in November, Heather Terry, who's making a real big difference with Good Sam Foods. So that's it for us. Yours truly, Stephen Huffman. Check out compassnatural.com. Check out myWHY Check out naturallyboulder.org. Bill, thank you. My co-host. EJ, thank you. Thank you so much again.
See you guys.
All right. You guys have a great day. We'll catch you next month.
Bye-bye.